Uh, a surprise rate cut in China.
Yes.
Starting off straight away.
Yes, that's right. Actually, all the attention yesterday had been focused on the US, where Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, was speaking on Capitol Hill. Then we got this surprise news of a rate cut from China, 0.25% rate cut. Now, this is all in order to prevent too fast a slowdown in the Chinese economy. Well, to find out a bit more, we can go live to our correspondent in Beijing, Henry Morton. Thank you for joining us this morning. Henry, tell us first of all, why did Beijing decide to make this cut?
Well, analysts had been expecting a cut to come at some point. The economy, of course, has been slowing down in the first half of this year. We haven't had a rate cut since 2008, more than 3 years, and inflation seems to have been stabilizing over the last few months. So a rate cut widely expected here. The timing of the cut, though, seems to have added a little bit of concern for some investors. It comes just a few days ahead of key economic data being released on Saturday. That's the CPI, the fixed asset investments, industrial output, as well as retail sales figures. The timing of the cut has led many to worry about the actual state of the Chinese economy. Those numbers being released on Saturday expected to be pretty bad, and now investors thinking that they're actually going to be extremely bad indeed. Growth forecasts for China being cut again for the full year. Some analysts saying as low as 8.2%. And while governments in Europe and America may see that as extremely high, that would actually be the lowest rate of growth in China since 1999. So some concerns over the Chinese economy, and that the reason for this unexpected rate cut.
Henry, Lorna Shaddock here in the studio. Why exactly then have they made this decision to make the cut? What's behind it?
Well, as I say, they're wanting to see we are seeing a slowdown to the Chinese economy. Everyone here would like that to be a soft landing rather than a hard landing, a controlled slowdown, if you will. And the Chinese government is looking to take further measures to see that happens. We are expecting to see further rate cuts over the coming months, a drop in the required ratio rate for banks to hold on to savings, as well as seeing investments, state-run investments, huge infrastructure projects being approved in the coming months.
Henry Morton, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Matthew, then, back here in Europe, Spain, the main concern on everyone's minds.
That's right. Eye of the storm, Spain, as it has been all week, all month even. And yesterday, Fitch, one of the ratings agencies, downgraded Spain by 3 notches. It also said that this problem with the banks might cost about up to 100 billion euros. We've heard before estimates of 40, 60, 80 billion euros. So that's even higher. Well, Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy said he's waiting for the results of an independent audit, which is expected next week, of the country's banking system. Then he's going to talk to Europe about how to recapitalise the whole system.
Once we know what the independent auditors say, and once we have spoken to all of our European partners, whom I have been speaking to throughout the week, with all of them, including Prime Minister Rutte, who has been with us today in Madrid, we will make the decision that is best for the general interests of the Spanish people. We are at the most difficult stage, cleaning up public accounts that weren't right, capitalise banks and go forth with necessary reforms. If we don't do this, believe me, we'll go nowhere.
Well, Prime Minister Rajoy there. And Spain also announced yesterday its new central bank governor. It's Luis María Linde. He's a 67-year-old economist. That means, by the way, that he won't serve his full 6-year term. He'll have to retire at 70, so he's got 3 years in that hot seat of a job. He'll take office on Monday.
OK, well, what about the markets? How have they been reacting to all of this news?
Yes, well, let's start by taking a look at European markets. They've just been opening. They're all opening down in negative territory today. I can tell you as well that the Spanish IBEX is down by about 0.7% on the opening. A couple of other bits of news we've just got in this morning. The Bank of France has cut the second quarter growth forecast for France to minus 0.1%. So that's a contraction which wasn't forecast in the past. And one other thing as well, Marks and Spencer, the British retailer, they they are opening a chain of banks backed by HSBC in around 50 of their stores starting in July. Over in Asia, the markets have all closed now, so we can take a look at those as well. The Nikkei was off by about 2% in trading, all of them closing down their bad way to end the week. Well, let's get some more of the day's company news now. And the Australian airline Qantas has seen its shares fall below $1 Australian for the first time. This came after it was placed on a ratings watch by Standard & Poor's. The airline recently said it expects profits to drop by 90% this year. Its shares are down a third this week.
Luxury group Prada said its profits more than doubled in the first quarter. The company said sales in Europe were boosted by a growing influx of tourists. Asian sales were also up, rising by almost half.
And Samsung has changed its chief executive. The surprise move sees the head of the components division taking over. Samsung's looking to seek new growth avenues. The company overtook Nokia in April as the world's biggest mobile phone maker.
Well, now, after years of attracting millions of immigrants, Spain is now becoming a country of emigration. Faced with record unemployment, more and more young people are packing their bags in search of work. Here's more.
At Madrid airport, it's departure time for the Sabuesas, an Ecuadorian family living in Spain for over 10 years. But the mother, a domestic worker, has been unemployed for the last 2 years, and she has no choice but to return home with her 2 girls.
I lost my job because my bosses themselves were dismissed, and I have found nothing for 2 years. I can't pay my rent of €300. I don't receive social assistance, and I can no longer afford the tuition for my daughters.
Thousands of Ecuadorians, Bolivians and Argentinians have left Spain in the last 4 years. And they're not the only ones. More and more Spanish are deciding to also pack their suitcases. This is the case in Olvera. The employment agency here does not have much to offer its 12% unemployed, while Lorenzo Casaus, a builder, has decided to leave for France.
Of course, it's not easy, but when there is no alternative, you've got to leave.
And if nearly 100 of the Olvera unemployed have left for France this year, it's thanks to an initiative by the mayor's office which helps them look for jobs.
It may be unusual, but we went door to door with French companies as if we were salesmen for them.
The Spanish people, once again, are migrating. Among the older Olveran generation, flooding back are images of the 60s, when they came to France seeking work, which Franco Spain could not provide.
Well,